Yeah. I
Okay,
would
so what's
first.
the argument going to be for Kizaru scaling over Kuzan?
Okay. Wait, I get the scan
All right,
real
wait.
quick.
So for the rec, I have Kuzan and he is Kizaru. So
Hmm. Okay. Uh, I sent it in voice chat scans.
okay, yeah. What scans? Let me check.
Um.
Yeah, and what did the scans entail?
Wait. Yeah. I sent it. So. Um. The scan is from the Viper card. From Kizaru, and it basically says that Kizaru is the fastest admiral, and therefore, like, he would be faster than Kuzan, and therefore, like, he would likely beat him in the fight. That's my argument.
Okay, wait. So I got a question. Why does being faster mean that he'll likely win in a fight?
That's because,
Because what?
take for an example, like two boxers, and everything you know about these boxers is that one is, I don't know, physically stronger than the other guy. Then who would, if you had to bet on one of these boxes, like your life savings or something, then you will definitely bet on the guy who you know is stronger. Because if that's the only information you have, then it will be for you more likely that the guy with an advantage wins, right?
Okay, wait. Here's the thing. Even if it's like more likely for me, that doesn't mean that it's actually like more likely. I don't know what you mean by for me. If that's referring to some type of like mind dependent state, then like I don't see why that's really relevant. Wait, and I have another thing to say. Okay, so another counter to that would be like I don't grant that these two situations are analogous. Here's why: because you're saying that in a situation where the only thing you know about the two boxers is that one is more like physically capable than the other. But I don't grant the notion that the only thing we know about these two combatants when comparing each other is that one is faster than the other.
What? What do you mean by that?
Wait, okay, so like I'm gonna explain it again. I don't agree that these two situations are analogous because the situation, the example that you're appealing to like make your argument stronger is basically a boxing example. You're using two
Yeah.
boxers. Yeah, and then you said it's the only thing we know about these boxers is that one is more physically stronger than the other. Then like it's gonna be more likely to you that the physically stronger boxer is going to win. But then basically I said, okay, but like I don't agree that this example has correlation with the example that you're actually using like to support your point. And what I mean by like the thing that I don't agree with, like the correlating factor that I don't agree with is like that we don't know anything else about these two combatants of how they compare with each other besides just like the whole physical thing.
Okay.
Yeah,
I can
also
give
the
you.
example that you used physical strength and
Yeah. So
but in the
you can
actual
also
argument
say
that
speed.
you're using physical speed, which those are
Yeah,
two distinct things, obviously.
it doesn't really matter. Like, it can be any
How does
win
it not matter?
condition, but because of, it's like we have like different win conditions, and any win condition, even if it's like, I don't know, stamina or something, it's an advantage in a fight, right? Like, you
Okay,
would
wait, let
say
me ask you,
it's
do you think that having a superior stat is like necessarily a win condition?
I would say definitely, because I can even
Okay, wait,
explain
so then
like
what's the
why
logical
speed is in it.
contradiction? Yeah, if you're saying it's necessarily true, then what's the logical contradiction with like having a physical thing over somebody else, like speed or physical strength not giving you an advantage or a win con? Because you're saying that yours is necessarily correct, right? So then,
I don't really understand. What do you mean?
dude, you literally just said that it's necessarily the case that if I like have better speed, better strength, for example, that I'm going to have a win con. Okay, I'm asking you,
Yes.
why is that necessarily true? Where's the logical contradiction in the negation of that? Okay,
Okay,
that's what I'm asking you.
I can give you like one example from another win
Wait,
condition.
no. An
Let's
example
say
wouldn't. Okay, you can save yourself the trouble because an example wouldn't support your point. Because if you're
no,
just showing an
I can
example where it
give
is the
you
case,
why it's more. You're
there's a
asking me
logical
why it's more
contradiction.
likely, right? Why it's, if
Wait.
I
That's
only
not the
have.
claim that you made. You didn't make the claim that it was more likely. Previously, you said that it was previously You said that it was necessarily true. Now you're just backtracking on that.
No,
So
wait.
say that it's more-
I never said
But-
it's necessarily true that
Yes, you did. You
Kizaru
can't-
beats.
You did.
I said it's true that he
What?
has a win condition,
Wait.
and therefore I said
Kaido,
it's more likely that he wins.
Oh my god. Okay, so I didn't say that you said
We
that
can
it's
also like
wait.
direct,
God.
but
You let me finish? Okay, so I didn't say that you said that it's necessarily the case that Kizaru is going to beat Kuzan. That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about in context of the evidence that you actually presented. The evidence that you did actually present was basically saying that, oh, well, he has better physical speed, so he's going to have like a win con. I'm asking you, since you said that you're necessarily going to have a win con if you have better physical speed. Okay, I'm not talking about like the whole fight in general. I'm not saying that you made a necessary claim in context to the entire fight. I'm just saying in context to the win con subpoint that you're using to support your point. You did make that claim, so I want you to substantiate that claim. And then now you said that it's just likely, so you're backtracking on that claim.
Okay, if you mean why speed is a win do you ask me why speed is a win condition, or?
Yes. Okay, so I'm asking you why having better physical speed in this situation is a win condition. I agree that it can be, but you made the claim that it's necessarily a win condition. I don't agree with that. And now you're making a claim that it's most likely.
Now I get it.
I don't agree with either. You said what? So I don't agree with either of those claims, even if I was to grant that you could just backtrack for whatever reason, which I don't either.
So I didn't really get what your contention was, but why speed is a like winning condition. If we would assume that like two fighters are like pretty comparable in every like stat, and one is like just faster than the other guy, he would be able to like, or would be more likely to be able to land more hits. And if they would be like, let's say they have the same strength, then he will knock out the guy faster because he lands more hits, right? That's pretty much the thing.
Okay, Kaido, we have a few problems. I don't believe this proves either of your claims. At first, you said that it's necessarily true. All you did was show like a possibility, like where your conclusion is true. That doesn't prove that it's necessarily the case. Then you also said that it's true probabilistically. I don't see how you could have proven anything probabilistic as well, since you haven't presented a single likelihood increaser. All you did was present an example, which that doesn't hold any evidential power to inferring that your point is more likely than mine. So if you're going to say that yours is more likely, I need to ask you, what is the likelihood increaser that you're appealing to make your point more likely than mine?
What point are you referring to? Are you referring to my stance that Kizaru likely beats him? Or?
Dude, how can you
Yeah, okay. I don't really get what you want from me. Like, do you mean why it's more likely that being faster means having an advantage, or?
Yes, you showed an example where it can, like, it's more likely in the example that you presented. I'm just asking, like, why is it generally more likely? Okay.
Yeah, because I just said it. Like literally, it's more likely to him to land a hit when he's faster, or it's more likely to dodge a hit. It's more likely that he lands more hits against his opponent than the opponent lands hits on him. That's the thing.
Okay, wait, so that's not what a win condition is. Like, maybe that can give you an advantage. A win condition is a necessary, like, condition that makes you win. Okay, so I can be faster than somebody and still, like, lose to them. So that's not necessarily a win condition. If there's a drastic disparity in speed, then it can be a win condition. I agree. But here's the thing, like, it doesn't even need to be an advantage either. I'm gonna explain why. Like, having superior speed, I guess, like, in most cases, I'm not gonna say in most cases, okay, but I guess in some cases, like, if you're faster than somebody, you're gonna be more likely to dodge. But that, like, presupposes that the disparity between you and speed is actually, like, a relevant one, you know? Because if there's, like, an irrelevant disparity in speed, like, let's say that, like, two fighters are close to each other in speed or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then one fighter being faster than the other doesn't make it more likely that they're going to beat that other fighter, because there's no actual, like, relevant disparity that's giving them the advantage. That's why I think that it's a conditional thing. That's why I think you need to appeal to the context from the story to, like, prove that the conditions that would suffice to make your point more likely are actually true. Okay.
Okay. For the first thing, like, a win a winning condition is what makes you more, what gives you an advantage, and what makes you more likely to win a
Wait,
fight.
okay, yeah, I
wouldn't
don't
say
grant.
if you
I don't
have,
grant that.
if let's say one character can blitz a character and one shot him, right? That still presupposes that this character has some random ability that like can destroy everything and will somehow win. That's not what a win condition is. Win condition doesn't
How does that
guarantee you a
presuppose
win.
that? Can you prove that, though?
Yeah, it's always because the possibility exists. Like you have, you can take any character, and this character I say cold, has the possibility to have some random ability to like destroy the world or something, destroy the universe. You can't say it can't be true. That's why a winning condition is always just an advantage over someone. Okay, so because you can never guarantee that someone will beat someone in a fight. That's not possible. Okay, and for the second thing,
Wait, no. Okay, so
they
I didn't say that you need to like prove that a guaranteed. Like I didn't say that you had to prove it in the case that like it's guaranteed. Okay, like I never said that.
yeah, but
No, but
that's
having an
what.
inherent advantage, like that doesn't mean that it's more likely that you win. Like if it's a relevant advantage, then yes. But there's differences between irrelevant and relevant advantages. Let's say
Okay,
that like I had, and I didn't grant it being an advantage either, which you've yet to like literally prove.
so
But
for
let me
for
explain.
the second,
Yeah, but can I just explain like the difference
okay,
between
okay.
an irrelevant and a relevant advantage? Because apparently like you
Yeah,
don't know the basics of power scaling, and I need to school you on this. Okay, so let's say that like a relevant advantage would be being able to speed blitz somebody. Like that's obvious because if I can speed blitz somebody, then that's going to give me a pretty like easy job dodging their attacks, a pretty easy job actually like tagging them and being able to like do damage on them, assuming that I can damage them. But let's say that it's like an irrelevant advantage, like where I'm like barely faster or whatever, or not even barely faster. Like it could be more than barely, but let's say that I'm faster, but like it doesn't like grant me an advantage that allows me to win the fight. And then you said that, oh well, there always could be like random arbitrary possibilities and like oh
okay,
yeah, you brought up an example of a character being able to just explode and destroy everything. Okay, I do agree that that is the case, but I don't think that I'm appealing to anything like arbitrary. So I don't see how this is analogous at all. Like I'm honestly
okay.
confused.
So let's say he will only be like barely faster than Kuzan. Okay. If we have character A who will land is more likely to land 10 hits, and the other guy will just land one hit, or not one, 9 hits. We would say out of 10 hits, he would land more hits. He's more likely to land more hits because he's barely faster than the other guy, right? Then it's
Can
still
you
an
prove that?
advantage. And still, if that's the only information we have,
Okay.
it's still, we can say it's an advantage, and it's more likely for this character to land more hits against the other guy, and therefore it will be more likely to for him to beat the other guy in the fight.
Okay, Kaido. Here's the thing though, like about the whole barely faster point. Yeah, I don't grant that being barely faster than somebody means that you can like land more hits. I think it depends on like what we define as barely. Like we say that like a guy's literally like 0.1% faster than another guy. Like that doesn't mean that somehow, oh, because I'm 0.1% faster than another nigga, then I'm gonna land more hits on them, even if it is one more hit. Okay, so barely is also another thing that's like dependent. So I don't see like why you're running away from just
Okay.
appealing to context in the
So,
story that quantifies the speed difference between Kuzan and Kizaru, because this would make it like much easier for you. Like what you're
yeah,
doing right
okay.
now is just
So,
unprovable, like completely fucking.
So if they write it like in the Viber card or something, they want to give the readers further information about these characters, right? And they would like
Why is this relevant? Oh
want
my
to,
god, I think this is a red herring. But
bro. Can you like let me finish? Okay, so they want to give them like further informations about these characters, and they want to like give them a hype about some character. They won't write something irrelevant. Like if they write Kizaru is the fastest character, they won't write it if he's only like 0.1% faster than any other admiral. That's not relevant. If they write
Okay, yeah,
he's the
can you prove
fastest
that?
admiral,
Okay.
then there must be some relevant distinction in their speed.
Yeah, so prove all those claims you just made. Like, I don't grant any of them. What the fuck?
Okay, can we conclude then?
Okay, yeah, if you're not gonna prove them, you just lose. Yeah, we can conclude.
I think I
Is it
did
who-
prove. Like I gave you the argument. You are not engaging, right?
I
So-
am engaged. Okay, dude.
Okay,
Wait, so
we can
Gyro, were you
conclude then.
listening? All right, bro. Let's see.
How do you? Wait, how? Um,
Okay, wait. Is Gyro
record.
judging? Wait, I haven't checked chat if he agreed to judge or not.
I don't know. Stop here. Stop record. Stop.